how do you foresee the integration of new technologies like virtual reality and AI in reshaping the gaming experience in the next decade?
I think new technologies usually find their first use case among gaming. Talking about AI's potential is, I think, quite well spread, and it's already quite clear across industries that AI is going to cause massive disruption, is going to increase efficiency multiple folds, right from the way people think about creating art to the way that people think about creating a piece of code. AI is going to impact each and every aspect of gaming as well. Character creation, scenery creation, doing A/B testing, figuring out how to write piece of codes. I can, I can go all day long just to sort of share the different kind of use cases AI will have in gaming. The other question was more around virtual reality. I think, see, virtual reality is a massive industry, right? If you look at, if you go outside, you go to US, like we recently went to GDC in America. If you go to these kind of countries, you will see like massive AR, VR headsets people are using already, and there is a huge potential. There are companies which are building only in AR, VR field. But if you look at India per se, the domestic consumption of India, the form factor is mobile, right? Hardware becomes a barrier. Majority of India uses internet on their phone, gets entertained on their phone, and perhaps the only electronic device, if you look at PC, console, or mobile, or AR VR headsets, the only accessible device through which a large enterprise or a large massive audience can be reached out to is essentially mobile. So if somebody is looking at tapping into the domestic consumption, the large, massive domestic consumption for which India is famous, as being the largest consumer of gaming content, then that person should go for mobile. But of course, having said that, even other industries, let's say like PC industry or console industry, are growing fast. The base is small, but they're growing exceptionally fast. And in times to come, as purchasing power will grow, as GDP per capita will cross the inflection point at $2,500, you will see more and more people adopting dedicated PCs, dedicated consoles for gaming needs. And that's where maybe the role of virtual reality or AR and VR will only scale from here on.
In the sports industry, how can gaming and digital experience better connect with audience in a more interactive and immersive way, and what WinZo is doing?
So, sports is a religion in India, especially when it comes to cricket, right? And I'm having this interaction, while IPL is still on, and we all know, right, what is the kind of phenomena IPL is, or in general, cricket is in India, and even other sports are now picking up, like kabaddi, football, right? Uh, as far as games is concerned, games is definitely an extension of experiences, right? For example, you can splash a game in any field in life. For example, education. You can integrate a game within education and suddenly, make it a gamified education experience. For employee learning experience, you integrate a game there, and suddenly you will be able to onboard your employees in a much better manner. The same way, if you talk about integration of games in sports, that is a massive opportunity that just increases the overall engagement level. Now, there are multiple ways in which this kind of integration can happen, right? One is you basically make games around these different kind of sports. For example, you make a AAA title game around cricket or football or golf or pool. In fact, we on WinZo have a dedicated sports category which has carom, 8-ball pool, cricket, all these kind of games. There is a dedicated sports rail, and that is the most popular rail on our WinZo's platform, right? That's the maximum revenue gets generated there. The second piece is how you can really, with the help of a game, match what's going on in the screen or what's going on in a live match with what your own inputs. There, things could be like live streaming, watch party, where bunch of friends are watching it out together. There are, of course, different shapes and forms where people can actually create their own teams, or they can demonstrate their own knowledge of the game. They can demonstrate live trivia while the game is on. I think if you see, there are different features that people are trying to do from all points of life, right? And sports is again a very competitive space. You can very easily divide people into different kinds of fans. There's a fandom, and gaming again is extremely competitive. So there is definitely a massive amount of cross section between gaming and sports, and we've seen it ourselves on WinZo's platform.
Just a last question. With the rapid growth of esports, with what challenges do you think the industry will face in terms of regulation, monetization, and audience engagement?
So gaming, when played professionally, is called esports, right? Again, the form factor of esports could be very different. Uh, uh, PC esports is a category, mobile esports is another category. So far, if you look at in the Indian domain, uh, monetization is always been a challenge, right? You need eyeballs to get monetization, and the Indian eyeballs which are hitting the esports market are growing year on year. Uh, but we need to understand, how to look at esports. For example, currently there are a lot of people who watch IPL. People understand cricket, they watch an IPL, and there is massive amount of eyeballs. Brands come, they become as sponsors. That acts as a revenue, and every year on year, the BCCI is able to organize a very massive sort of an IPL. There is a massive player economy that's around it. Players, emerging players come in, international players come in. So there's an entire ecosystem. But all that is only and only because monetization is getting solved. If you look at esports or any kind of esports, right, mobile esports, people first need to love the games, then they need to, like for example our childhood, I used to play cricket when I was a kid, right? And that's how I learned cricket. All throughout my life I thought, okay, maybe I'll become the next Sachin Tendulkar. Every time I used to hit a six, I used to feel maybe I become a cricketer down the line. So I was never that never that bad. So today's kids are actually not playing sports as much. Maybe they are, but they're definitely playing mobile games a lot, right? And their icons will be people who are doing exceptionally well in those mobile games. So when, as a generation will continue to grow and will prefer excelling their art or understanding a title and watching their icons and seeing how those games that they love playing, grown up playing, when they will start witnessing the competitive action behind those games, when they will see icons emerging in those competitive icons, that is when the eyeballs will really start to swell, right? And it's a phenomena. I think the year-on-year growth on esports traction is massive. Over next decade, it's going to be huge, and it's a pattern that can be seen in other markets, right? If you see the League of Legends or some of the other titles, the kind of eyeballs that they amass are like bigger than many sports phenomena, right? And there are multiple countries which have an example. I'll say India is right now a couple of years behind. So a couple of years down the line, there is going to be that kind of a massive eyeball, and that will solve for monetization, and that's a flywheel, right? Once monetization gets solved, then better and more number of emerging players will come out of it. In fact, people will feel that, okay, there is a way for me to become an esports player and make a career out of it. And then people will be able to start pursuing things seriously, making a career out of it. That's when a lot more people will try to join hands and making things more mainstream. So that is the flywheel, that is the network effect that is going to trigger. It's already in the works, but yeah, the fruits of it will start manifesting over a couple of years down the line.